This insane little four-cylinder engine might be one of, if not my new favorite engine, but it's not for the reasons you might think. This is a Datsun 510. It is one of my dream project cars. I know it's weird, it's odd. However, I love that small car, 3-box design, and well, let's face it, you put a good engine in front, put a good chassis underneath it, and you have a pretty good canyon carver that isn't soul-crushing like a Miata. However, the one thing that kind of gives me trouble is what the heck engine would you put in something like this? And as it would turn out, the 510s aren't unlike a lot of different JDM cars, i.e. a lot of different people put a lot of different types of engines into these cars. Like pretty much everything under the sun, people have put LSs in them. One of the more popular engine options is the SR20 DET, a turbocharged 4-cylinder that can make 300 to 400 horsepower pretty easily. But here's the thing, as I go through and I build this car in my mind, I don't necessarily want a turbocharged engine, but I do want over 300 horsepower. In addition, I don't want to do the obvious thing and drop a V8 or anything like that in it. What I do want is a small displacement, high revving, probably a 4-cylinder engine. And in that world, you're pretty much left with one good option, and that is the Honda K-Series. That's for very good reason. You can go out right now and buy a built K-Series that revs to 9,000 RPMs and makes over 300 horsepower. And if we're dealing in sensible land, that's probably the engine I would go with. However, it's not this engine. Now at a distance, that engine may look like an old school Ford 4-cylinder engine, and some of it is. However, this engine has been completely reimagined and redesigned in places by the good folks over at Borum Motor Works. This engine measures 2.1 liters, it makes 325 naturally aspirated horsepower, and it has a redline of 10,000 RPM. That is an absolutely insane engine, and anytime you can have an RPM that's 5 digits long, you immediately get my attention. And here are some of the design highlights. It only weighs 187 pounds. It has individual throttle bodies, which anyone will tell you is cool. In addition, the connecting rods, the crankshaft, the dry sump oiling system, the cam cover, well, those are all made out of billet. This is one of those engines where no detail was too small, and it obviously shows. And because Borum had pretty much free reign on the design of the head of this particular engine, they decided to pull inspiration from motorsport. In their own words, they utilized a Formula One style port geometry, which means this thing is probably going to flow a metric ass ton of air. And when you put all of that together, you have an engine that is incredibly enticing. It probably costs a small fortune as well. However, you still have an engine that's incredibly light, has a 10,000 RPM redline, makes 325 horsepower, and yeah, if I win the lottery, I won't tell anyone, but me acquiring one of these engines will definitely be a sign.